Thank you for joining us today. I'm Bryanna Davis, and I'm here with International Student Loan, and today we're going to be discussing how you can find a lender in less than 10 seconds. Now, if you already know what school you want to attend, then the next step is, of course, going to be to figure out where the financial aid is going to be coming from. So that's more than likely why you're here today. You want to explore your option of finding an international student loan, which means finding a lender that will work with you. Now, if you've already started this process, more than likely you've already seen how difficult it can be. If you have not, then I want to mention right up front that not every lender will work with every international student, and not every lender will work with every school. You have to find a lender that works with international students and that will work with your school. Now, before we get started, I want to just mention if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to send those in through the chat feature, and we'll address those in the end. However, if your question is there a loan available for my school, then we're going to be walking you through the entire process today of how to check that. So just hold off on that question because you'll actually be able to find out if there is an option for you. Now, because the process of finding a lender is so difficult for international students, we have created our Loan Finder tool, which makes it really simple to see what lenders are available to you at your school. So that's what we want to walk you through today, is how you can enter in just a few pieces of information and see what options you have. Now, just because you have those options doesn't mean that those are going to be 100% the right ones for you, but they give you those options in order to actually compare the lenders and see if they will be a good option for you. So keep that in mind. Just because there's lenders on there, it doesn't mean that one is going to automatically fit, but you want to compare the terms and see if they are a good fit for you. So let's go ahead and we're going to dive right in. We're going to go to internationalstudentloan.com and we are going to walk you through the loan comparison tool. Okay, so first we're going to go through the process as though we are a non-U.S. citizen who is trying to study inside of the U.S. So where it says U.S. citizen permanent resident, you would of course mark no. Do you have a U.S. cosigner? Now before we mark this one, I just want to explain what exactly a cosigner is. A cosigner is essentially someone who's joining the loan application with you. As an international student, you are required to have a cosigner. You're not going to be able to find a loan unless you have a cosigner. So keep that in mind. Also, you can't just have anyone be your cosigner. You have to have a U.S. citizen who has been inside the U.S. for the past 2 years and who has good credit history. So you're going to want to find a cosigner who meets that criteria. Now, as I mentioned, you do have to have a cosigner, but it's also going to help ensure that you get the best interest rate possible, which means less you have to pay later on. So it can be a good thing as well. So, do you have a U.S. cosigner? You'll want to mark yes. And then school state. So what state inside of the U.S. are you going to be studying inside of? I'm going to go ahead and just choose New York. And then your school name. So what is the school name in which you'll be studying? I'll just do the new school. Find my student loan. So you just click on that after you enter in all the options. And up pops all of your different options whenever it comes to lenders that will work with you as an international student at the school that you have selected. So here you see that there's 2 different options. We have Sallie Mae and Discover. There's a few different features on each of those lenders, but what you'll really want to do is dive into what those lenders offer. What's the interest rate? So how much is going to be added onto the amount that you're borrowing that you have to pay in addition to what you've borrowed. That's the interest rate. Check out what their interest rate is. And then also you'll want to check out when you have to start repaying your loan. Is it a loan that allows you to repay after you've graduated, or is it one that you have to pay sooner? So you need to evaluate that and see if that lender is going to work with you and if it's going to be a realistic option. So once you've evaluated those, you can click Apply Now. That's going to take you to the application where you can complete the application form. All right, so next we are going to go through the situation of someone who is a U.S. citizen who is studying at a non-U.S. school. So you're directly enrolled in that foreign school. You're not studying abroad through a U.S. school. You're directly enrolled in that school. So U.S. citizen, yes. School state, you're going to mark foreign or non-US because, of course, you're studying outside the United States. And then school name. So you can find the country, and then you can find the school that you're attending. So we'll go ahead and pick this one in Canada, and then click the button, Find My Student Loan. So here you can see that based upon what we entered, you have the option of Sallie Mae Smart option. So you can review. I suggest doing even more research as well on this lender and the terms. And then you can start your application if this is the one that you choose to select. All right. Now before we continue, I just want to mention if you do not find a lender for the school that you've selected, don't worry, don't get down on yourself and think there's not a lender for you. Although sometimes this might be the case, and many other times we have new lenders that are added all the time, so you might want to come back in a few days and see if a lender has been added and is now an option for you at your school. So if you try once and don't succeed, come back in a few days and maybe you will then. Maybe there'll be an option for you then, okay? All right. So next we're going to do the scenario of a U.S. citizen who is studying abroad, which means they're still directly enrolled inside the U.S. school, but they're studying abroad through that school. So U.S. citizen, we would keep yes. The school state, you would actually want to choose the state of the school that you're enrolled in the U.S. So you would not choose foreign for that option. You would choose the state, and then you would choose your school name. Let's go ahead and choose this one, and then Find My Student Loan. And there you'll have a couple of options that pop up. Once again, make sure you compare those terms, make sure that it's a realistic option for you. And then you can always apply right there by clicking the Apply Now button. All right, and then the last scenario we're going to do is if you are a non-U.S. citizen and you're studying in at a non-U.S. school, so perhaps you are from France and you decide that you want to study in Germany. So, U.S. citizen, no. Do you have a U.S. cosigner? We'll keep yes on there. School state, so you would choose foreign or non-U.S. And then you would choose your school. And then Find My Student Loan. So as you can see, unfortunately, if you are a non-U.S. citizen or resident and you're studying at a non-U.S. school, there unfortunately is not going to be a loan option for you. In this instance, then what you'll want to do is try to gather as many scholarships as possible. You know, I know sometimes it can be difficult to find scholarships to fund your entire your entire education, but unfortunately there would not be a loan option for you in this instance. Okay. All right. So this should by now give you a little bit of insight into how you can quickly find a lender. It should make a little bit more sense now as to what we're talking about, how you can find a lender in less than 10 seconds. Now, although it does allow you to see the list of lenders, it's not going to mean that that's the perfect lender for you in 10 seconds, but it will give you a few different options to choose from and help you get going on that process. Now, as we already discussed, if a lender does not appear for you, please make sure you check back in a few days, as we do add new lenders all the time. So there might be one later on if not available now. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to answer a few of our questions that have come in. Okay, now we have our first one. They asked, how can I find a lender? Hopefully you know now how you can find an entire list of lenders that will work for you depending on your situation. So hopefully that question has been answered already. If not, that's okay. Make sure that you go to internationalstudentloan.com. Over on the right-hand side there, you can use that loan finder tool, and that's going to help populate a list of lenders that will work for you. All right. Next, I'm an Iranian student in Germany. My first semester of studies will be started in October. I was wondering if you could help me with receiving a loan. Okay, so as we went over in the example, unfortunately in the last example, as you can see, if you're a non-U.S. citizen studying outside of the U.S., we unfortunately would not have a private loan option for you. I apologize about that, but you, once again, you'll want to check out different scholarship options to help try to support your international education. All right. So we have, I am a computer science and engineering student from India. I want to complete my degree abroad. Please suggest to me what can be done. Now, if you're looking for a school, then what you might want to do is go to internationalstudent.com. There you can find different school options. You can even filter by what you're going to be studying. Whenever it comes to finding a loan, though, what you'll want to do is, of course, complete that loan finder tool. Make sure that you put in that school that you have found to attend and see if there's a loan, a lender that will work with that school and with you as an international student. So you would have to first go through that tool just as we did, and then that should give you better insight as to if you can get a loan for that school. Now, if you know 100% you're going to have a loan and you're still up in the air as to what school you want to attend, maybe pick a few different school options and then go through that loan finder and see if those schools have lenders that will work with that school. And then you can know for sure if you can actually afford to go there by using means of a loan. All right. All right, it says, I am a Flex Program alumni, and now I want to study in the IB program in an international school. Is it possible to find a loan if it's not for college? Now, as you've already seen, our loans, they are for international education. So your school, you know, whatever institution it is that you're attending, it'd have to be an accredited school, and they would have to be working with lenders. So you might want to just try the loan finder tool and see, you know, if your institution is on there. I'm not quite sure what institution you'll be attending, but once again, it'd have to be accredited, it'd have to be working with lenders. Check out that loan tool, just search what state it's in, and then you'll be able to see from there if it gives you anything for that school or not, any lenders to choose from. All right, next we have, please help me find a cosigner. I'm trying to find a loan for my U.S. education, but to no avail. Please help me realize my dream. So that is great that you already realized that you need a cosigner. Once again, that cosigner is essentially someone who's joining the loan application. So they are going to take on that responsibility of paying back that loan if you are not able to pay it back. So that's a huge responsibility. That cosigner has, you know, they are doing you a great favor by being a cosigner because that's a lot to take on. So we, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to help you find a cosigner because this individual, they do hold a lot of responsibility. This is someone that you would have to find on your own. Typically, it's a family member or a close friend. Make sure that that individual really understands, though, the responsibility of what their job is the cosigner. But the families, your family and friends are a good place to start. All right, next. Let's see. It says, I'm from India and I'm interested in doing my MBA at California Lutheran University, but the fee is high compared to my financial status. How can you help me? That is a great question, and you are not alone. There are many students, both international and domestic, who they have problems you know, paying for their international education. Most students don't have that sitting in their bank account, unfortunately. So loans are a great option. What you can do, go to that loan finder tool. You can find your school on there and see if there's a loan available for your school. Your school should be on there, so go ahead and give it a try. Click, you know, that you'll be studying in California, and then you can find your school on there and see what lenders are available. Just make sure that you have that cosigner. All right, next. What are the necessary steps for Jamaican students to be able to access this student loan? Well, Jamaican students, just like any other students from around the world, are able to go to the loan finder tool. Type in that you're not a U.S. citizen, type in that you have a cosigner. If you do, hopefully you do, Otherwise, you cannot get a loan otherwise, as we've discussed. Mark the state that you'll be studying in, mark the school that you'll be studying at, and then see what lenders are available for you. But just because you're from Jamaica doesn't mean that you can't do the loan finder tool and find a lender. How can I get a cosigner? That's a great question, because as we discussed earlier, we're not able to find a cosigner for you, and you're really not going to be able to find someone else who can find a cosigner for you. This is someone that has to be 100% fully aware of what their responsibility is and who is willing to take on that responsibility for you. Now, what you can do is find a couple of good candidates who you think might be willing to do this for you and who can financially be able to actually financially support this if they were to have to help you, people who would be capable of doing so. You want to explain your situation, what you're looking for, make sure that they understand the terms of the lender as well that you're interested in, and then just be honest. Tell them that you need a cosigner and ask them if they'd be willing to take on that responsibility. To be 100% honest with them and give them as much information as possible is going to be your best bet. All right, what if I cannot find a cosigner in the U.S.? David, unfortunately, if you cannot find a cosigner in the U.S., then you would not be able to obtain a loan because you do have to have your cosigner. You do have to have a cosigner that is a U.S. citizen or resident who has lived in the U.S. for the past 2 years. So you do have to find a U.S. cosigner. All right, we have Albert. All right, I would like to know if I can get a loan in my country. They're from Sierra Leone. Okay, so Albert, unfortunately, you would have to be studying inside of the U.S. in order to have a lender through our private loan option. So you'd have to, as a non-U.S. citizen, you would have to be studying inside the U.S. at an eligible school in order to use a private loan, a private student loan. So unfortunately, no, you would not be able to utilize our private loan options. But once again, scholarships are a great option. They can really help out a lot. And scholarships, typically they're not going to fund your entire education, but they can at least help out a little bit. So don't forget that scholarships are a great option as well. They should be you should check what scholarships are available first, and then utilize loans. Loans are really great for filling in that last piece of financial aid that you need. So after you have all of your family funding, you have all of your scholarships, then loans, that's your go-to place to find that last piece of aid that you need. All right. All right, so from George, we have, I'm an Indian student who wishes to study in Canada. I've arranged for an amount at my best, but I need to finish up and reach my dream to study in Canada. How can I get a cosigner to get the loan for studying in Canada? Okay, so George, this is, as I mentioned before, this is a very common situation. As I just explained, finding that last piece of financial aid can be the most difficult. So we do have a lot of international students who will utilize the loan for that last piece of aid, and that's great. Loans can be a really great tool for international students who do need to utilize it in that way. However, as I mentioned previously as well, if you are not studying inside the U.S., as a non-U.S. citizen, you would not be eligible to find a lender that will work with you. So if you're a non-U.S. citizen studying at a non-U.S. school, we unfortunately would not have a lender that will work for you. All right. I am an international student in the USA, and I just completed my associate's degree. Is it possible for me to get an education loan to pursue my bachelor's? I have established some basic credit history too. All right, excellent. So, once again, it's going to depend on your school as to if your school is eligible or not. But yes, if your school is an accredited school and it works with a few lenders, then more than likely there's going to be a lender available that pops up for you on that list. So go to the loan finder tool, enter in that you have a cosigner. Even though you have established some credit as an international student, you do still need to have a cosigner. So make sure you find a cosigner, mark that you have a cosigner, enter in your school, and then see what lenders pop up. More than likely you're going to have a few. Once again, if you don't today, come back in a couple of days, maybe even tomorrow, and see if there's a lender that works with us now that will help you. Okay. Hello, I'm Zeno, and I just got an athletics scholarship here in the USA. Congratulations, that's excellent. But the remaining money to pay is more than the tuition of my former school. I'm in a confused situation. Yes, that's correct. As you see, in this exact situation, some schools can cost significantly more than other schools, even with a scholarship. So if you are having to fill in that final gap, see if there's a loan available for your school. Once again, go to the Loan Finder tool. You'll have to type in your school name. As you guys have seen, it's very simple. If you're getting in here a little bit late, go back through, watch it a couple of times, find the situation that meets you. If you're a non-U.S. citizen studying in the U.S., that very first example we did is going to meet your situation. See what we did there, and then do it for your situation as well. Find your school and see what lenders pop up. But congratulations on the athletic scholarship. That's really great. All right, how can an Ethiopian student be able to access this loan? Just as any other international student from around the world, you just need to mark no, you're not a U.S. citizen. Yes, you have a cosigner. Enter the state and the school, and you'll have a list of lenders that populate according to what school you're attending. So just because you're from Ethiopia doesn't mean that you're not eligible to do the Loan Finder tool and find a lender. Okay, what are the requirements for cosigners? Diana, the requirements for cosigners are that they have to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. They had to have lived inside the U.S. for the past 2 years, and they have to have good credit history. So you're going to want to find a cosigner who will meet each of those criteria. Okay. We have a question that came on through our Google Plus page. I can't get a cosigner because I'm in Somalia, so how can I study in the U.S.? You know, your best bet is going to be to really ask your family, dive in deep with your family, have a few personal conversations, say, look, this is what I want to do, this is what I need. I need a cosigner who's in the U.S. Is there anyone that we know? Are there any family friends who know someone who I can reach out to this person, let them know my situation, allow them to get to know me. You're really going to have to pull all of your resources and see what you can do to find that U.S. cosigner, because they do have to be a U.S. cosigner. So there's no way around that. You're going to have to make that happen. So really pull all of your resources, reach out to all of your family members, see what they can do if they know anybody. That's going to be your best bet. It's going to take a little bit of work. But it's what you have to do in order to make it happen, but it's worth it in the end. All right, I'm from Mexico, and I just finished my bachelor's degree, and I wish to study in California. I have a cosigner in the U.S. What should I do next? Excellent. So you have one of the hardest parts down. You have that cosigner. Hopefully that cosigner is a U.S. citizen or resident who's been here for the past 2 years. And they have good credit history, hopefully. The next step will be to actually find a lender. So go through that Loan Finder tool. You can confidently mark yes to the option or to the question asking if you have a cosigner. Go through the Loan Finder tool at internationalstudentloan.com, select your school, and you'll see the lenders that work with international students at your school. All right. So we have another question from our Google Plus page, or Google Plus. I have a high school diploma. I have a high diploma of accounting. Let's see, they're from Somalia, and they want to live in Denmark. I would like to learn in the U.S., and I can't pay the fees. How can I receive the loan? Okay, so if you're wanting to study in Denmark, since you're from Somalia, unfortunately there would not be a loan option for you. But it looks like you're currently in Denmark and you want to move to the U.S. to study. So if that is the case, if you're from Somalia and you're wanting to study inside the U.S., The only way to know if there's a lender that will work for you at the school you want to attend is to do the Loan Finder tool. So go to International Student Loan, do the Loan Finder tool according to your situation, see what lenders pop up. Once you have all of the lenders that pop up, make sure that you compare the terms and find the best one that will work for you. All right, it looks like that might have been the last of our questions. I'm going to give you a couple of more seconds here. Send in any last questions that you have, and we will get to those. We want to make sure that all of those questions get answered. Okay, so is our last question, unless you send in a few more, is the cosigner responsible for the repayment of the loan, or is it both the student and the cosigner that's responsible for payment? That's a great question. So it's going to be your responsibility to repay your loan. It's money that you've taken out for your education. So keep in mind that if you are able to pay this, you need to pay it. You should find every way possible to repay this loan since it's your loan. But the cosigner is on the loan application. They have the loan as well, just in case you are not able to repay. So in the event that you cannot pay, they are going to be sort of the last option. The cosigner will be the last option for the lender in order to get those funds. So it is first your responsibility to repay back that loan. If for some reason you're not able to, then it would fall onto your cosigner. All right, it's then a shared responsibility. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. I think that might be it. Okay, it looks like those are all of the questions that we have today. So hopefully this has helped you a little bit in learning how you can find a lender in 10 seconds or less. It's not actually going to pinpoint that this is the perfect lender for you, but it's going to give you a list of great lenders that you can compare and find the best one for you. So make sure you go to internationalstudentloan.com, that you use the loan comparison tool to find a lender that works for you at your school. If you have any questions, send them in through our hashtag #FinancialAidTalk, and we'll go ahead and get that answered for you. Or if you have any other questions, you can find us on Facebook, of course Google+, Twitter, and we will help you with those questions that you have. So thank you for attending, and good luck finding the aid that you need.